Your favorite program on television, Inside Nigeria. Inside Nigeria is a breakfast show where we review and discuss from headline stories on some select national newspapers. We have Nigeria's most influential newspaper leadership. This day, The Punch, The Guardian, and Vanguard all for review on those four segments of the show. And as usual, on the program, we like to flag off with leadership. Leadership's leading story says hardship no end in sight as protest continues. Hardship no end in sight as protest continues. We are hungry, tired, or your residents cry out. More Nigerians flee country. Labour mobilizes for nationwide protest next week. I'll take that leading story once again. The papers have been awash with stories of protest and excruciating pains of ravaging the country. Leadership's headline story today says hardship no end in sight as protest continues. We are hungry, tired, or your residents cry out. One Nigerians flee country. Labour mobilizes for nationwide protest next week. And of course, the photo on today's leadership is a picture of the Group Managing Director, Leadership Group Limited, Moaz Welaze, presenting Governor of the Year 2023 nomination letter to Governor Mohammed Bago of Niger State at Government House yesterday. Congratulations to the governor. And of course, we have the story Governor Bago excited over leadership award, which event comes up next month. Federal government cement producers agree on 8,000 naira per bag. Again, government adopts 8 passengers in Kogi. Cool. Regional Citizens Dialogue for launch next week in Abuja. And the move above that, where we have truck owners strike, minister intervenes as few queues build up. 47 billion naira debt. AEDC threatens to disconnect ASO Rock 85 others. That's the story on the business boss on today's leadership. 47 billion naira debt. AEDC, that is Abuja Electric Distribution Company, threatens to disconnect ASO Rock 85 others. And above the masthead, Wangwaze begins final journey home Thursday. Senate rejects 17 trillion naira loss on tax waivers. We move to the page 3. Our stand today is urgent. Save the naira. Stop the blame game. From our stand, we move to the back page of the paper with Ray Murphy, THISDAY column. Citizens groan as food prices rise daily. For this more continuation of headline stories, log on to the website of Leadership, www.leadership.ng. From Leadership, we move to this day. This day is still on the hardship in the story in the country. And it says Red Cross declares Nigeria's hunger crisis alarming, demands immediate attention. Red Cross declares Nigeria's hunger crisis alarming, demands immediate attention. Says time to act is now. PDP, Tinubu is overwhelmed, lacks capacity to lead Nigeria. Ugaje, his officials not telling him the truth. He removed petrol subsidy without planning. Youth protest in Ibadan against hardship. And above that, Dangote, Boa, Lafarge agreed to reduce cement prices to 7,000 naira after meeting with federal government. Even though the leadership reported 8,000 naira. This day says Dangote, Boa, Lafarge agreed to reduce cement prices to 7,000 naira after meeting with federal government. Lament rising gas rates, import duties, others. And above the masthead, just beneath the masthead, naira hits new low. Dips at official market to 1,598 naira to dollar. Declines at our market to 1,730 naira. The story continues on page 5 of this day. And above the masthead, Shehu Sani says state police is mirage, recipe for anarchy. Shehu Sani, state police is a mirage, recipe for anarchy. Says it to be used by governors to persecute opposition, harass non-indigenous, rig elections, counter federal police in cases of conflict of interest between federal government and states. These are more the stories raising This Day today. For more, log on to the website of This Day, www.thisdaylive.com. From this day, we have the Punch. One story says Labour mobilizes for protest. Tanker drivers strike triggers few queues. Federal government meets drivers, filling stations shut in Abuja, Kano, Ogun. IFMA urges dialogue. NLC Adamat, workers vow to join demonstration as Oyo protesters lament hunger. Because we have pictures of protesters carrying placards yesterday in Ibadan or your state, and some of the placards with end hardship that you can see. Of course, it's quite a lot. Beneath that, we have 15 Niger Republic banned food trucks intercepted in Zamfara. FCTA sees orphanage over alleged trafficking of 23 children. Court bars Wike from Centenary City, fines Arab contractors 100 million naira. Which takes us to the stories above the masthead of the phone. The FCC detains ex-Kwara Governor Ahmed over alleged 10 billion naira fraud. Aso Villa Defense Headquarters CBN faced disconnection over 47 billion naira debt. Senate asked FIROS to suspend 17 trillion naira tax waivers. These are the headline stories today on the Punch, today, Tuesday, February 20, 2024. For more, log on to the website of the Punch, www.punchng.com. From the Punch, we move to Vanguard. Vanguard also has stories on forest increase, and it says forest crisis trigger major dislocations in 2024 budget. Forest crisis trigger major dislocations in 2024 budget. Benchmark exchange rate now half the value. Revenue expenditure estimates unrealistic. Analysts see profligacy pushing up deficit to 20 trillion naira. I'll take that headline story once again. Forest crisis trigger major dislocations in 2024 budget. Benchmark exchange rates now have the value. Revenue expenditure estimates unrealistic. Analysts see profligacy pushing up deficit to 20 trillion naira. And of course, just like the papers before it, we have a picture of protesters yesterday in Ibadan, Oyo State, gracing the cover of Vanguard, and the caption says protest against hardship in Ibadan. Beside that, we have Senate kicks against 17 trillion naira loss on tax waivers. ECOWAS crisis, Gowon turns down federal government ECOWAS invitation to speak on EU. Second leading story on Vanguard says electricity, forest crisis, inflation push meter prices up by 80%. And in sports, 2025 AFCON draw host in Cairo today. Suspected armed headers invade Benue local government, kill 10, injure others. Kidnappers abduct 9 passengers in Kogi, demand 30 million naira. Let's move to the stories above the masthead of Vanguard. 92% of Nigerian workers in informal employment, according to NBS. Federal government cement manufacturers agree on 7,000/8,000 naira for 50 kilograms of the bag of cement. Edo 2024, APC Youth Women Take Over Secretariat, one sack of SWC. Wale Edun Kadoso SEC management team visit Wigwe's parents. These are the headline stories on Vanguard. For more, log on to the website of Vanguard, www.vanguardngr.com. From Vanguard, we move to the last paper on our menu, and that is the Guardian. Guardian's leading story says road infrastructure development. Federal government grants 4 trillion naira tax credit in 5 years as inflation threatens scheme. Road infrastructure development. Federal government grants 4 trillion naira tax credit in 5 years as inflation threatens scheme. Inflation may slow at pace. That is one of the illustrations underneath that story. Nigeria needs 438 trillion naira investments in infrastructure over the next 10 years. Beside that, we have panic on OAU campus as a lion kills zookeeper in just another. EFCC grieves Kwara ex-governor for alleged financial impropriety. Protest over hardship spreads to Oyo as 26 million Nigerians grapple with hunger. Zulum sacks IDP camp boss for wash facilities diversion. Naira drops to new all-time low at black market, trades at 1,730 naira per dollar. Unemployment rate rose by 5% in third quarter of 2023, says NBS. Senate flays 17 trillion naira loss to tax waivers, others hot. How insecurity, hunger threaten Nigeria's existence. That's the editorial today on The Guardian, and it's on page 12 of the paper. You need to read how insecurity, hunger threaten Nigeria's existence. These are the headline stories today on The Guardian. For continuation of these headline stories, inside stories, and of course the editorial back pages, log on to the website of The Guardian, www.guardian.ng. And from The Guardian, we put to an end to the first half of this segment of the show. Don't forget the second segment. We have our we have our public affairs analyst coming in to show more light, shed more light on some of the headline stories. Don't go away, stay tuned. The show Inside Nigeria, because as you can see, I have my Tuesday guest in the house, Hashim Suleiman. He's also a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much. And of course, my name is Winnie Project, your host of the program. As I was telling my studio staff before you came in, that since last week or thereabout, the papers have been awash with stories of hardship in the country. Of course, if they are not carrying protests taking place in one state or the other, it's always for related issues. So, what is your take? Because this day today is saying Red Cross declares Nigeria's hunger crisis alarming, demands immediate attention. So, what attention does the Red Cross want the federal government to take? Perhaps, don't you think that Red Cross should also speak to the financial institutions, world financial institutions like IMF and World Bank that's even made the situation precarious for Nigerians?
So the thing is, the last time I was here, I said that I was honest enough to say that the hunger or whatever it is, the hardship is not gonna be here with us for some time. And that's the honest truth, because there is no shortcut to it. Even people who want to now start saying reverse this policy or reverse that policy, maybe they're not critical enough to understand that when something starts and you attempt to want to even reverse it, it creates more problem than is already existent. Because, so it's like example, now let me give you this example so you understand what I'm saying. It's just like how the president has appointed ministers. And maybe some people are not comfortable with certain ministers. But guess what? I keep telling people that coming to sack them to replace creates more problems, because all of those ones you're going to sack will turn to opposing you. whether you like it or not. Maybe some might actually be noble enough to accept it as in good faith and go away, but a whole lot of them will turn against you, politically speaking, and then you have created another problem, appointed some others again. So what I'm saying is, this policy has already, for me, these policies have already come to stay. After all, already even the subsidy is already still being paid on the 670.
Oh yes,
600
that's
naira.
what.
So at the end of the day, do we want to keep deceiving ourselves like there's going to be any magic wand or anything is going to happen? No. And that's why for me, when I speak to fellow young people, all I say is, at this moment, all you have to do is, first of all, try to survive. Leave any character of thinking you must blow in a minute or you must become rich or make money. You have to try to survive. And we have to drop ego, because I relate a lot with the young people of Nigeria. You cascade it into different sorts of sense of entitlement. A whole lot of them feel big to go and do certain things. And I am aware that in this country, if you can drop yourself, be humble, at least you find somewhere you get, even if it's 500 naira or 1,000 naira a day, that you can at least be able to feed. And I think that's the only solution. While we also advocate for the government to try as much as possible at all levels, and governments have to be at all levels, to try as much as possible to do what they can do, so that maybe in the short term, in another probably 2 years, we will at least begin to see that things stabilize a little. Otherwise, we will just keep talking about.
Because you did mention some policy, maybe federal government not going back on it. Will it be considered cowardice if maybe some of the policies that have been shown that the federal government should take a step from some of them? Because if you recall, in 2016, the former president Muhammad Buhari came up with this naira floating, but when he saw the reaction, he had to quickly retract and back down on it. You understand? So we've seen now it's almost going to a year now since this naira floating and uniform iron window of forex came into being, and many economists are saying that you couldn't have done both at the same time, which is actually, and also in addition to fuel subsidy removal. These are what is bringing
so the point.
Don't you think that is it cowardice if federal government should come up to say, okay, we can rein in the naira, no more naira?
Now that's the point. I had already made the point. That as controversial as those two decisions are, or were, or are, the fact is that those decisions have been made, and they have long taken off. You're talking about 7 to 8 months right now. So do you presume right now that if subsidy is reintroduced and maybe fuel goes back to 180 or 200 or something like that, you now think that because of that the dollar would automatically crash? So the point is, I don't see it from that point of view, because like I said, at this moment, attempting to even reverse those policies will create more problems.
Even reversing, at least it will help a lot. It will reduce body transportation. Remember, drastically the cost of transportation and its adverse impact on other economies.
Yes, so what I'm telling you is already right now, don't forget that the subsidy regime itself is an entire cesspool.
And don't forget, you just also said something that federal government is still paying subsidy, but it's not coming out. Remember during the first tenure of President Muhammad Buhari, he did tell us that it was he called it under recovery. But however, how much even though they try to hush it up, they still have to come out at the end of the day tell us it's actually subsidy. Because look at now, today we are being told that the dollar is about 1,700.
Exactly, that's the point I'm saying. So that's the point I'm saying.
And Nigerians are still paying 600.
See, first of all, they're not even going to find the money to take it back. There's nowhere to find the money to take it back to 250, for example. Even if you want to go and borrow, I need you to understand how this dynamics work. To come and say you want to pay, there might be issues around who are you going to pay, who are the people who are going to be involved. There's going to be issues around perhaps maybe delayed payments. Well, do you know what that will do? To bring the queues back on. And then, so what I'm saying is that whichever way, now at this moment that we are already 8 months into it, take attempts to even go back, trust me, And I mean, I wish it were to
It will
happen.
create
You will
more
tell me,
chaos.
you will see more chaos on its own peculiar self again. Come out. So already for me is that's why
The
I'm
die
a
is cast.
realist. I'm a
You are saying
realist.
that
Yeah,
the
the
die
die
is
is
cast, no
cast.
going back. But
So
however,
how do you want to do about it?
Red Cross says Nigerians demands immediate attention from the federal government. So what does Red Cross expect the federal government to do in this instance?
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? They have to just try as much as possible to make and that's where I think for me interventions like maybe the ankle borrowers, maybe as if it can be maybe a
However,
little modified.
don't forget
Agric, I'm talking about agric.
up till now they are yet to recover. I think during President
No,
Tinubu gave an
but
order
guess
that
what?
they should refund the money.
But guess
They don't
what?
even know
But
how
guess
far it
what? No. See, you need to put things in proper perspective. Today in this country, there is sufficient local rice in the market.
is expensive.
Exactly. So we need to see. That's why I said, unless you break these things down appropriately, those local rice that you're seeing, as expensive as they are, the companies, the farming and the milling is owned by Nigerians like you. Those people now, if you bring them here and tell them about the economy, they may have a different opinion than I and so many other, because they are also Nigerians and they're entitled. They're making money. They have staffs who they are paying. Do you understand the point I'm trying to say? So all I'm saying is that whether anybody likes it or not, anchor borrowers worked in the sense that at least today you cannot count the number of rice mills we have in this country. And then all these rice mills are daily having enough paddy rice to be able to mill and make their rice. So if you go to every of Nigerian market now, there is local that never ever existed before Buhari. Before Buhari, all the rice we eat in Nigeria is imported from Thailand. And that's a fact. So you can't take away that achievement and throw it in the bin, because after all, that sector is also employing a whole lot of people. They are making money. And that's where I'm talking about that the only solution now has to be personal solution. There are so many ways you can key into. There are people who go to all these rice mills, for example, become off-takers, buy. There are so many young Nigerians who do all those kind of things. And it's out of self. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? There are those who are singing. Trust me, if you go and tell Davido whiskey fuel is 10,000 naira per liter, it concerns him very, very less.
At all.
I tell you the truth. So the fact is that rather than really concentrate on the government, the die is cast like we have agreed here. We are hopeful that the policies that they are putting in place are eventually going to provide support. But the majority of the consolation everybody has to give himself now has to be self-consolation. You have to accept your reality. You have to drop any other sense of entitlement that you've ever had, to think anything is entitled to come to you by force, by fire. You have to drop all of that and face reality and see what you can do with your life.
All right, thank you so much. Now, talking about forest crisis, Vanguard leads with the story that forest crisis trigger major dislocations in 2024 budget as benchmark exchange rates now have been valued. Now, we're just talking that dollar is now 1,700 something, whereas the federal government benched it at about 800 budget. So Vanguard reports that it's now half the value. And then analysts see profligacy pushing up deficit to 20 trillion naira. So do you see the federal government borrowing more, because we just did the internal domestic borrowing, selling of the bonds and all whatnot. Are we now going to resort to more borrowing? Because as it is, Nigeria is already indebted to about how much did the past administration leave us?
The debt,
Yes, the debt.
The debt is what was almost how many? That's
federal government still have to borrow money to.
So the thing is, I mean, the dollar is what it is now, and then like they're saying, it's already the benchmark is half the value. So that means that by the time you sell the crude oil, because I mean the dollar exchange rate benchmark is basically more tied to the oil. Yes. Otherwise, the internal revenue come in naira, right? So for me, I thought that should even probably put more naira in the hands of the government, because if you sell the dollar now and it was 805, now if you come and sell the crude oil and come to change it to naira, which of course our budgets are funded in naira. Let nobody forget that they are funded. All estimates are in naira. So So I thought they were going to have more money if you do the exchange. Do you understand?
Okay.
Even the official rate of the exchange, if you do it. So for me, I don't see that as much of a problem. I don't think this government likes money. I think they have liquid enough. With the removal of the subsidy and so many other things, and the fact that they are really boosting FIRS and the customs and the rest of them are not doing badly. I think they have money. I think they will fund their budget. I feel they're going to fund their budget. I don't think they'll have an issue with that. Yes, there might be some few borrowings here and there, but we must recall that the budget itself has reduced the how much our revenues are used to service debt. I think they reduced that and all of that. So for me, I don't really see them having liquidity issues. So we just see that there has to be a sincerity of focus from those implementers. That's all. If the implementers can have the vigor and the honesty to pursue what they want to do to fruition, I think at the end of the day, but again, we must insist that people will have to understand reality and see how they can adjust themselves into it. And that's all of it.
I'm still talking about this skyrocketing foreign exchange. And Daily Sun says UK Nigerian parents battle to pay school fees as exchange rate hits 2,052 naira
To a pound.
to a pound. And of course, don't forget that Cardoso, the Syrian governor, told us last week that within a period of 10 years, about $40 billion was taken out for medical tourism and education.
Madam, look, we didn't go to UK to school. We're here, we're speaking English, we're communicating to people to hear. So many people who have gone to UK or any countries and back, some of my friends, some PhD, some everything, they cannot come and even stand us and discuss about public issues, both internally and externally. So see, look, this point of, is a bandwagon thing. Certain parents, and I don't know how parents even get themselves to fall for all of those kind of bandwagon, say, okay, just because my friend's son has gone to mine too, so I'm already saving since from my young days too. I mean, who does that really? And I can't tell you right here that maybe I don't have parents or relatives who could have, but it never crossed my mind. It was something I never admired. And there was more than enough, how would I say, platforms in Nigeria to be able to impact this level of knowledge on us. So if anybody wants to take their child to UK, let them go and look for the money. Let them go and look for the money. Right?
All right, thank you so much. But is there any way, as we're talking about medical tourism, is there no way we can bring this in? Because
so
that has always been the issue of every head minister.
You see, people are not talking about it.
Yes, people
see,
going outside
go to Lagos. While Osinbajo was vice president, he did all his critical medical surgeries in Nigeria. I think I've been to one of the clinics because then when I saw that he had gone to that hospital, there was a time I was in Lagos and I wanted to do my checkup and I just walked in there. I can't remember the name. And then there's another one on Jewel. No, in Lagos. In Lagos. There's another one on Jewel Ogunaike. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
But the thing is that our presidents have not actually led the way, show the example.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I give you the example of Osinbajo now. Imagine the VP. Go and just take a Google. Google, maybe say Osinbajo dispatched from Lagos Hospital. You see it, you see the name of the hospital there. They are very good clinics. There are another one on Lekki that Governor, I think Ambode, so launched that time. So these are places you can go and get all the healthcare you can get. Even in Abuja here, Nisa Premier, even Gariki Hospital, people will tell you they're doing very good in terms of surgeries. But so all these things are more of a bandwagon kind of thing. I do understand maybe but even the public hospital, I think it's University of Benin Teaching Hospital somewhere. Lately, they did a heart surgery, successful one. Or in the southeast, one of those things, one of those teaching hospitals. Do you understand? But some of these things, I tell you, are just cliches that are made. But like you said again, maybe the leadership needs to lead in front. So at least people can understand that we do have clinics and hospitals that can be able to handle some of these things. You understand? But otherwise, honestly, I think some of these things are just basically self. After all, you will still travel to those places and still meet Nigerian doctors.
Exactly. That's what most of these medical directors or owners of private hospitals keep saying. Because at the end of the day, getting post-treatment care, you still need to travel again, pay your way to these countries to get checkup and all whatnot. It requires a lot. Thank you so much on that. And of course, we are moving to the last topic for today, that is talking about the cement high cement prices. Because there was a newspaper report that media reports that the presidency met with major manufacturers of cement, Dangote, Boa, and Lafarge. And after meeting, oh sorry, excuse me, they agreed to pay fair price at 7,000 naira. While some papers reported 8,000 naira for 50 kg bag. Now the question is, I thought these people cement was these are people, these major players have a kind of monopolistic over cement when it comes to cement production. And Nigeria has been close to imports ever since for them to just have that market. But don't you think that, like pundits are saying, that it would have been more cheaper if probably our doors, or rather our borders, were thrown open for others to come?
Yeah, so the
What
thing
is your
is,
take on
yeah,
that?
the thing is, you know, me, I agree totally with the presidency's position that our borders should not be open. Because look, you see, a lot of these products, it's not the lack of the availability of them. They are available inside this country. Trust me, I don't know, maybe you've been to Obajana. You need to go
Yes,
to
I
Obajana.
do.
You need to see how gigantic. You can imagine
Yes,
how
it
many you have. Boy, you have Lafarge in Gombe. You have a whole lot of all of this, and there are so many ones coming up. Now the issue is, by the time you open your borders, you're going to start to discourage all of these ones, because the market
But
will
of
be
what
so
use, of what you
flooded up.
assume, if we have these local manufacturers and then we are buying them at a high expensive rate, when if the probably the borders were thrown open, we will actually get them cheaper.
No, so that's the point I'm saying. You see, look, you know what? Let me make you
That's always been
understand.
the argument.
See, let me make you understand something of Nigeria that you don't know, because I have been through it all, and I've been through it through the thick and the thin, and I've come to understand certain things. Over time, for whatever reason, our leaders and ourselves came to this belief of seeing economies of countries or economies as more like birthrights, and more like entitlements that you should just have. Most times, even the thought is, even most times without even putting in any work. And it is things like this. It is things like companies, institutions becoming big. Because look, whether you like it or not, now, if you go to Obajana now, and you speak to the entire workers there, who are absolutely so much in number, they will not agree with this thing you are saying.
Because
for them, life is good. Do you understand? So now,
you know, as if it's
you
still
want
the
to
same
build
way.
that economy.
Like for instance, you want your
Have you
local
ever,
manufacturer.
please, have you ever spoken to anybody who lives in the UK? Let me tell you, most people who live in the UK, most majority, they are not necessarily rich in terms of having big savings in the bank account, because they pay heavy bills. They pay very heavy bills for electricity. They pay very heavy bills for their houses, mortgages, and what have you. So you see yourself even sometimes having to eat credit. That's why they call it credit card, because you can even go into minus, and anytime money enters, they take it out. And even in Nigeria now, all of that, there are so many apps now that are ready to, since they have your BVN, they know that is your salary. Once you can verify that this is my salary, I can give you up to 50,000 to 100,000. All of those things.
The thing is that the ease of doing business in Nigeria is so bad that by the time you build all these things, because you have to look for alternative source of energy, the taxes, several that you will pay, also add
you must pay taxes
that you add to all these
taxes.
products. At the end of the day, consumers are meant to pay all these things, which brings the prices of goods to.
So now, madam, let me ask you.
Then I know the same thing also goes for our textiles. That's why the textile industry cannot thrive like that. Even if you give it all the money, like federal government borrows money or even states like Kaduna and give to the state. Because what happens is that by the time all the fabrics, the borders are open, maybe the import is open for all these textiles, the price will be cheaper than.
Yes, so you are looking at the cheapness. So, you see, the thing is, let me give you an example of subsidy. Let me give you an example of subsidy.
7,000.
Let me give you an example of subsidy now. Subsidy, everybody has agreed, has to go. Yeah. Everybody has agreed. The only thing people don't agree, that differ in agreement, is the methodology of how it has to go. Not the methodology
providing.
That's what I'm saying. Methodology, that's the methodology of how you want to take it out.
Yes.
So, look, the fact is, you could choose to open up your borders simply for the reason of wanting things to be cheap. But the overall effect in the future is what we're talking about. No economy builds its economy like that. Do you understand? You can't just take anything into America.
So the protesters, one of the placards they were carrying is the same thing: open borders.
Yeah, but that's their own. That is their own understanding, and yes, for them. So for them, it's simply about the price to come down. But they are not talking about the sustainability of the development of the country. Look, government has to make money. And the only way they can make money from the non-oil sectors is by collecting tax from the taxable. So over time in this country, you had so many sectors who are practically not even paying one dime to government. And then,
however, taxing,
be it the agricultural sector, the mining, even mining. How many? Do you know how much mining is going on in this country? What are we getting from it? We're getting nothing. So imagine every sector should not be let like that, for the government not getting anything out of it. How do you? So that means we have to continue to borrow every day to just make our lives comfortable, like you're saying, and let everything be cheap. And then at the end of the day, we'll finally. So for me, I think we really have to calm down and try to understand all of these things from the point of view of sustainability. And that's why I said every individual has to find a way. Look, I move around. Trust me, if you can calm yourself down and be humble. Like me, I keep telling people, I said I can start from ground zero. Every day I have that thing in my mind. Like I can start from ground zero and just probably pack my bag and go to somewhere and look for one opportunity. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I have experience in construction industry, getting there, start, and so that's my mindset every day. So therefore, my expectations are less. I try to keep my life within what I feel I can afford. Do you understand? Yes. Me and my family, there's no any lies or any distance to each other. What's available will be utilized. If it's not available, we do austerity measure, and we'll see how to move on. And I'm every day trying to improve myself, see what I can do. But in terms of sustainability of economies, madam, there's no way you can open your borders. You will just flood in everywhere. People will enjoy it for a certain period of time, but the effect of not having it controlled and taxing it appropriately and doing the necessary things, and building also major entrepreneurs inside your country, do you understand what I'm trying to say? Does have major adverse effects on us. I witnessed the whole rice revolution in Nigeria. And I can tell you that if you start traveling now from here to Jigawa, you cannot count the number of rice mills you're going to see. To Kebbi, to Bauchi, to Adamawa. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? And they're producing every day. So there is food, there is inflation owing to the policies. Like I said, the policies are debatable in terms of maybe the timing or whatever. But then at the end of the day, the die is cast. How we should be able to run through to perhaps see the positive effects of them should be the major conversation on the table.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program. Well, viewers, we had the pleasure of having company today, our Tuesday public affairs analyst, Hashem Suleiman. Thank you so much once again. And on this note, we bring to an end today's Inside Nigeria. My name is Winifred Ubebo. Don't forget, 12 o'clock is news at home. See you there. Bye.
Thank you for watching.
Inside
Advert placements. Please contact 080 3688 6158.